Welcome to Christmas on the Farm. We have been so busy baking up a storm all of the Christmas goodies, and one of the most nostalgic treats at Christmas time is eggnog, and there's nothing better than making your own from scratch. Join me today when I take our raw milk from our cow and show you how we make our homemade eggnog just with a few simple ingredients. We are a week away from Christmas, so we're going to keep things on theme today. My dad used to make us homemade eggnog, and it's the most delicious holiday treat to have at Christmas time. You can make it the night before or even 2 nights before because it really needs to chill in the fridge for quite a while. And then you have it for your coffee or just a sip on Christmas morning, and it lasts in the fridge for, several days or whatever. But it's so much healthier than buying the stuff in the store, and it is so much more delicious. So I'm gonna teach you how to make your own the tips and tricks to make your own eggnog, and I promise that it's not super hard and it comes together really easily, and you can have it in the fridge all over the holidays. So I've seen a lot of recipes that just call for milk. I like to do about a third of it as cream, as heavy cream. So we have heavy cream from our cow, and then I just have some milk. So we're gonna do 2 cups of heavy cream. It's a personal preference. It just depends on how thick you like your eggnog. I like to use my eggnog in coffee, so I like to have it a little bit thicker. So 2 cups of heavy cream and then 4 cups of raw milk or milk. So then we're actually dividing the milk. So we're just gonna pour 3 cups into a separate bowl. And this is what we're gonna heat up on the stove. Actually, sorry, 4 cups. So you wanna do about half of what? Little over half. And then you're just gonna set the other one aside. We're gonna do a little bit of cinnamon and nutmeg in there. And you can add in your vanilla as well at this point. You can wait till later to add the vanilla in, but I like to kind of cook it in with it. So make sure that's mixed up really good, and then we're gonna pour this into our pot and heat it over the stove. We're gonna pour this into our pot, and then we're gonna turn it on like a medium to high heat. We're gonna heat this, but we're not bringing it to a boil. So you're gonna heat it just before the boil, and then we're gonna pull it off of the heat. So just make sure that you're keeping an eye on it. You can use a thermometer, but I usually just eyeball it. When it starts to look like it's kind of getting to that point where it's going to start to simmer, and we don't want it to come to a boil. So you're just going to stir it occasionally in your pot for several minutes until it heats up. While that's heating up, we're going to add our eggs and our sugar together. So you're doing 6 egg yolks, not the whole egg, the egg yolk. And then you're doing about 3/4 cup of sugar. And you can use any kind of sugar. This is an organic cane sugar, but you can use a maple sugar as well. And that's a little bit like even healthier than using cane sugar. So any type of sugar, and that's why this makes it such a healthier option to make it this way. So the trick with this part is you really want to make sure that when you're mixing it together, it's very smooth. So you want all that sugar kind of dissolved into the egg yolks. You can't over stir it at this point. You can just keep going until it's really nice and smooth. Because we are gonna add our milk. Once it heats up, we're gonna slowly add the milk to our egg mixture. And we need to do it in a way that it acclimates the eggs to the warm milk before we put it back on the stove to heat up again. Because this is a cooked product, but we're not cooking it far enough that the eggs start to scramble. We need to catch it before that, and that's what makes it tricky. That's kind of like custard or like custard ice cream, anything like that. You want to catch the eggs, before they get to that point, and you don't want them to be lumpy. So the trick is heating up the milk, acclimating the eggs to the warm milk, and so that they don't get lumpy when you put it back on the stove. So you can kind of start to see the surface is starting to move a little bit. And if we stir that in, there's quite a lot of steam that comes off it. So this is almost done. This is at like 160 degrees. So I would be ready to pull it off here pretty soon. So milk will start to simmer at around 180 degrees. I pulled this off just before 170. So you want to catch it kind of like right before it starts to simmer. And then we are going to add this in very slowly. I may even do it using a measuring cup. So again, you want to do this really slow because you want to avoid your eggs scrambling, basically. So you're just acclimating the egg mixture to the hot liquid. And you want to be stirring it continually as you do that so that you doesn't form any clumps at all. So it will froth the milk a little bit, and that's fine. That's what you're going to see on the top, are those bubbles. And if, like, this is obviously really hard on your wrist to do this, so if you have like a beater that has a whisk attachment and you can go at a really slow speed, that's also another option. I can go ahead and start kind of dumping the rest in. Okay, so now this has to go back on the stove. We're gonna put it back on the stove and very slowly bring it to a simmer, and we're gonna take it off as soon as it comes to a simmer. So you wanna bring the temperature up nice and slow, so again, so we're not cooking the eggs or scrambling the eggs. So we're gonna try to pour that back into this pot. This pot might actually be a bit small, but we'll see. Nope, works great. Okay, so we're gonna put this back on the stove and heat it up again. So the difference this time is you really want to make sure you're here stirring it continually, because you don't want the eggs to settle and cook at the bottom. So you don't want to have a film at the bottom, because then it will kind of create more of a scrambling of the eggs. So you're just going to stand here and stir it. And then I like to use my thermometer rather than, you know, like sticking your finger in it to try to see how hot it is, just to kind of understand how close you are to that simmer point. So we're at like 140 now. So we're still a little ways away. So this is at about 165 degrees, and I'm keeping it around medium heat. So you don't want to turn it up, like crank it up and bring it to a boil fast or anything like that. That would start to scramble your eggs. So I'm just doing it nice and slow. There's a nice foam on the top, but underneath is just this like beautiful golden eggnog. And so we're gonna bring this like right up to 180 and then take it right off the heat. Okay, so we are at about 185, and we're not bringing this to like a rolling simmer or anything like that, but I feel good about how much this is cooked. You want to kind of cook it on the stove for like 5 or 6 minutes, and it's definitely been longer than that because I brought it up to temp quite a bit slower. So if I were to leave that to sit, it would probably start to simmer a little. You just have to err on the side of removing it from the heat before those eggs start to scramble. So I can see that that's going to start to simmer now. So I'm going to take it right off the heat and finish it up. So this part becomes more of a personal preference. And then just a side note, I feel like you could probably make this with a maple syrup instead of, I don't think I would do honey as much because I don't like to heat honey too high, but you could do a maple syrup instead of the sugar. So we're gonna actually pour this back into the bowl that we originally mixed it in. And then what's gonna happen is you're gonna dilute it to kind of like the taste and flavor that you want. So Ellie thinks that this is fine just as it is. It's very sweet. So you're gonna wanna probably dilute it. So you're just gonna pour in the rest. You can pour in the rest of this milk, or you can pour in half. Don't forget, this is like a milk cream mixture that we left set aside. So we did about 4 cups, like a little over half, about 4 cups that we started with. And then we're just adding the remaining 2 or 3 cups, depending on how much you use. So you can dilute it and then give it a try. And then you can pour the rest in if you want to.
Yum. It's really sweet.
So we ended up adding all the rest of the milk in, and the nice thing about it at this stage is if you find it too sweet, you can just keep adding extra cream or milk into it. So we added a tad extra cream because we like it a little thicker. So now at this point, you're gonna find your containers and you're just going to pour it in. And then we're gonna get it right into the fridge. So pouring it into your containers and then popping it right in the fridge. And this one, I should have stirred it more. This one got way more of the cinnamon than the other one. And we want to chill this completely, and then you can use this to froth for lattes. You can use it in your coffee. You can reheat it again and froth it up and just have it as like a nice warm beverage at Christmas. You know, you can kind of do anything that you would do with regular eggnog, you can do with this, and it keeps in your fridge nicely all through the holidays. And it's just such a nice thing to serve to people, and it just tastes so much better than the store-bought. And it's so much healthier. So Merry Christmas. Enjoy.